Romeo and Juliet is a play by William Shakespeare about two forbidden lovers. The story takes place in Verona, where the two families are at feud, the Capulets and the Montagues. In the beginning of the play, the Montague and Capulet servants are caught fighting in the street by the prince. He threatens to punish the two families if another brawl takes place. Romeo also expresses his deep affection for Rosaline to his friend. In Act 1, Scene 3, Juliet explains to her mother about her thoughts on marriage. Though her mother is quite eager to have Juliet married, Juliet has different thoughts and says that she doesn't really dream of marriage. In Act 1, Scene 5, Romeo and Juliet meet for the very first time. Benvolio convinces Romeo to attend the Capulet party. Romeo and Juliet see each other and fall in love instantly. Neither know who the other is. In Act 2, Scene 1, Romeo risks death to meet Juliet again. Once everyone has left the party, Romeo creeps into the Capulet garden and sees Juliet on her balcony. They reveal their mutual love for each other, and Romeo leaves, promising to arrange a secret marriage. In Act 2, Scene 2, Romeo then confesses about his deep affection for Juliet. In Act 2, Scene 5, the wedding is held in secret. Juliet tells her parents that she is going to make a confession to Friar Lawrence. There, she meets Romeo, and despite the fact that he feels guilty, the friar marries the two immediately. In Act 3, Scene 1, Romeo angrily kills Juliet's cousin, Tybalt. Tybalt challenges Romeo to a fight once he sees him on the street. Romeo says no. However, his friend, Mercutio, is so disgusted by this quote-unquote cowardice that he fights instead. As Romeo tries to break up the fight, Tybalt kills Mercutio, and, enraged, Romeo then kills Tybalt. The prince arrives and, on hearing the full story, banishes Romeo instead of executing him. In Act 3, Scene 5, the unhappy couple is parted. The friar and the nurse arrange for Romeo and Juliet to spend their wedding night together. Unfortunately, they are immediately parted because Romeo must leave for banishment in Mantua or die if he is found in Verona. Believing her grief to be for the death of her cousin, Juliet's father tries to convince her to marry Paris. He threatens to disown her when she asks for the marriage to be postponed, and runs for the friar for advice and help. In Act 4, Scene 1, the friar suggests a dangerous solution to Juliet. Once Juliet arrives at a friar's place, she threatens to commit suicide as she does not want to marry Paris. The friar then instead suggests that she takes a poison that will make her appear to be dead. He promises to send the message to Romeo, asking him to return secretly and be with Juliet when she wakes, once her body has been taken to the family crypt. In Act 4, Scene 4, Juliet is found dead. The nurse discovers Juliet's dead body when she goes to wake her up for her marriage to Paris. Friar Lawrence is immediately called. He counsels the family to accept their griefs and arranges for Juliet's dead body to be buried immediately. In Act 5, Scene 1, Romeo learns of this tragedy and plans his suicide. The friar's messenger gets stuck in a town and is unable to deliver the message to Romeo. Instead, Romeo finds out from his servant, Bachelor, that Juliet is dead. Romeo buys poison from an apothecary and goes back to Verona with a plan to die alongside Juliet's grave. In Act 5, Scene 3, everything ends. Trying to break into the Catholic cemetery, Romeo is confronted by Paris. They fight, and Romeo kills him. He then goes to Juliet's body. He drinks the poison, kisses her, and dies. The friar comes to the crypt to be with Juliet when she wakes because he found out that Romeo never got the message. He finds Paris' dead body and reaches Juliet just as she wakes up. He can't persuade her to leave the dead Romeo and runs away. Juliet realizes what happens, takes Romeo's knife, and stabs herself to death with it. The watchman comes to the site and calls the prince, who gets the friar to tell him everything. The Montagues and Capulets hear the full story and become friends again.